thanks for joining us today. My name's James Warren. I am a partner agent here at Taunton Property Centre. I'm joined with Matt Potter.
Hi, I'm Matt Potter from Taunton Mortgage Centre. I work very closely with James and all the guys at Taunton Property Centre.
Great stuff. Right, so we did this 6 months ago, started in January and did a very similar video to this. So we've written some questions to ask each other as a bit of a catch up. I have got a few icebreaker questions to fire at you straight away, Matt, before we crack into those. So are you ready?
I'm ready, let's go.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Football or rugby?
Football.
Summer or Christmas?
Summer.
Perfect. Right, so the first question I wanted to start off with, Matt, is how have you found the market over the last 6 months, so since we last caught up?
Well, I'm sure you know yourself, James, it's been very kind of stop-start because of the COVID-19 situation that we've had. I know the beginning of the year after we did the first podcast, we went into a lockdown. We were already in a lockdown, but it was very strict at that point. And
well, yeah, we did it over Zoom, didn't we? Yeah.
So and it was. I think it was. I could safely say it was just sort of ticking over.
Yeah.
At that point, and then when we came out of lockdown, again, I'm sure you'll agree, everything went kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming to the market. Lots of people trying to buy houses. Everyone's sort of gazumping everybody else, and the mortgage lenders themselves were struggling with the pace of it. Also, the 95% mortgages were starting to come back in, and we had the stamp duty. So all those things I'm sure we'll touch on, but it from probably March onwards, I would say it went absolutely crazy. It's starting to slow down a little bit now.
Okay.
Back to, I would say, still just a little bit above normal.
Yeah.
But those few months in particular were absolutely crazy. What about yourself? How did you find it?
I mean, yeah, I agree on most of that stuff. I've not really seen it slow down myself yet. There's been hints of it here and there, but I think that's probably more because I'm kind of expecting it to. It's going so mental. It's been so mental over the last definitely 3 months. You kind of expect at some point, you know, this can't go on forever. So I do think there's been an element of me searching for that. But if I'm really honest with myself, it's not really slowed down at all. I have found it very different to anything that I've ever been used to before. Just the speed in which buyers are coming to inquire about properties, the amount of people that are coming in and making viewings, the amount of people that are making offers that are at asking price and very often way above. If I'm honest, just as a personal opinion, I don't like it. I don't actually like how it is at the moment, but that's just a personal thing. It is very chaotic, and we find ourselves like spending more time letting people down that they've missed out on properties at the moment, rather than telling people good news that they've secured a property. Yeah. But yeah, it's absolutely chaos.
I think, did you find that there's at one point at least was more people looking, quite a considerable amount more people looking than there are actually houses on the market, and so there was lots and lots of activity, but not a lot of sales in comparison to that activity in relation to it.
I would say the number of listings that are coming to market at the moment, and certainly over the last 6 months, hasn't really changed that much. But there has been a considerable amount of new buyers that have come to market, and just naturally, when you've got a supply and demand outweigh like we're finding at the moment, you've got prices going crazy. You know, people offering way above. In some cases, people aren't taking no for an answer. Can I submit another offer? Can I go a couple of thousand more? Yeah. And it's very intense. But yeah.
So off the back of that, then, what would you say to someone, a first-time buyer or a home mover that's in that position, that's looking to move, that know that they're fighting against quite a few other people?
Yeah.
What's the best steps for them to take to get to the point where, you know, if they make an offer, you know, it gives them a little bit more chance of it happening rather than just being let down? What would you say?
Well, I mean, the first-time buyers have got a little bit of a advantage anyway, just because most first-time buyers, or all first-time buyers, they're not selling a house.
Sure.
So they are in a good position. They don't come with a chain, so they do have that advantage over someone who's perhaps moving home. So that's on their side. But to be honest, I think if you viewed a few properties and you've got a good understanding of what property prices are doing, and I think it's just important to actually ask yourself the honest question of what you're prepared to pay for the property. We've had we've got, just as an example, got a property on at 250, for example. Some buyers are coming in and saying, "Oh, I'll offer something slightly below," in an attempt to try and get some money off and get a bit of discount off that.
Kind of like the old way of doing it.
Yeah. Try and negotiate, get a good price for it. There just isn't room for that at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to be honest with yourself. Are you happy to pay the asking price? Are you happy to pay more than the asking price? What price are you going to be happy to max yourself out to? And if you lose it at any more than that, you're satisfied that you gave it your best shot. You're not competing with the seller at the moment. You're actually competing with other buyers.
Yeah.
I've got clients at the moment that are on the market at, just use the 250 example again. They're on the market at 250. They'll accept 245. They'll be happy with that. But the buyers aren't competing whether they can get a good price. They're competing with other buyers to actually secure the property.
Get the house.
So yeah, my advice would be honest with yourself and what are you most prepared to pay for that property, and also be quick. Be very quick. If you see something you like, get in touch with the agent as soon as possible. Drop everything, get in to view it, because if you're sort of saying, I'm working and it's going to be tricky for me to get out on my lunch break, so I'll book it in for next week, it's a very, very high chance that property is going to be gone before you can get in there. So what about you? So you've obviously dealing with buyers are your clients, sellers are my clients.
Yeah.
So what are you saying to people at the moment?
Well, I guess in a way similar to what you were saying, James, there. Just to kind of reiterate the point, really, exactly what you're saying. Be as quick as you can. If you like a property, make an offer. Don't wait. Make a decision quickly and be prepared to make that decision quickly before you even go and see the property. But obviously, from my perspective as a mortgage broker, it's having your finances done, ready, in place, agreement in principle done. Backing up of myself, and I always say to my clients, we can get the agreement in principle done the same day, so it's done. Right now, you can go and find a house, and then when you find that house, you're in a position where, because you know yourself, the estate agent will say, "Have you been financially qualified? Let's see your agreement in principle."
We always ask people's financial position when we register them to book the viewing. So when they're offering, we want to see that. And like you say, if you've got 3 bids on the table at the moment and 2 of them are ready to go, they've either sold their house or got nothing to sell, and they've got all their finances in place, and then you've got the third person who's, I'm talking to my broker at the moment, and we've not got an agreement in principle yet, but he thinks it's going to be all right. You just add that little bit of uncertainty to the agent and that seller, so you immediately lose a priority, and you're immediately not the best option to go with as a buyer. So
and as you probably know, Jimmy, as well, there's a lot of estate agents, I'm sure it's not you guys, but that won't even do viewings without an AIP. Until you've got an agreement in principle, they say we're not doing a viewing, because there is, in their perspective, they've got so many people looking, there's no point.
And that can be the case with certain properties. If you've got 10 people booked in, that's a lot of time out of the agent's diary. Only one person can buy the house.
Exactly.
So you've got to be ready. What problems have you faced this year?
I don't think I've got enough time.
Okay.
Well, I suppose the speed of everything, it's not been a problem, but it meant that we've had to kind of ramp up what we're doing to try and keep up with not only the demand, but the demand of the stamp duty, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a bit, and all of the kind of deadlines that have been in place. I mean, the March deadline was the first one, and luckily that was extended, which took a bit of the pressure off of everybody. So it was that everybody trying to get in, and it tends to be, for example, let's take March as an example, there's lots of people trying to do it by the end of that month. So all of a sudden you've got people that would normally spread over 2 or maybe even 3 months to get to a completion, and now doing it within a few weeks. So we've got to work quick, we've got to work longer hours, late, so all of those things, it's absolutely fine, but it just was something we wasn't expecting, so we had to adapt to that situation. And then on top of that, the lenders, we're the brokers, and the lenders are changing their criteria at the time, and still a bit now, weekly. Sometimes they would accept furlough, sometimes they wouldn't accept furlough. Self-employed clients are still struggling now if they've taken some of the grants and things. And then we had, as you know, 85% was maximum, then it went to 90, now it's 95, but only some, and there's some restrictions on that as well. So
there's always goalposts sort of
it's
moving.
that, it's really being on top of your game and knowing what each lender's doing and how they're changing that and keeping on top of all of that. That still is the hardest bit, really, is just to keep on top of all of the changes that are constantly happening. And on top of that, the pace now, because we're in June, everyone wants to complete by the end of June, so that pace, so all of those things I think has been made it more difficult, but also more challenging, but also we've grown a lot, as a company and as a person, as a broker, we've learned a lot, so it's been good for us.
I'll be honest, like you say, it's the intensity, isn't it? It's like that, everything moving so quickly that just makes you've got to adapt how you work to that, because from my point of view, you list a property, viewings start coming in a few days later, you usually do maybe 1 or 2 viewings a day. 2 is a lot of viewings in a day, typically for most of us, so you might do one or two a day, but now you're doing 10 in a hour or 2 block over a few days. So that intensity and just adapting to that, managing your diary to fit around how things go on, because you put stuff on the market and then it's almost like waiting for the wave of people coming in. So and you obviously touched on like the stamp duty holiday and stuff like that. I'll be honest, I've not seen, I don't know about you, but because it's obviously now end of June, we're in June, but for the last couple of months, from sales being agreed point of view, it's not really been affected, because as you know, it takes a few months for a sale to go through anyway. So the stamp duty holiday technically ended for a lot of people in April, May, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think from your point of view, probably from your side, it's not. From my side, I can tell you that I've got people chasing, wanting those
you've got
completions.
The application,
I've got the application. They're the ones. To be quite honest, I'm touch wood. I'm lucky enough to. All of my clients are in a position where they will complete before the end of June. However, it has been a push. It hasn't just been, and it has been even in the last 4 weeks. And towards the end of June, everything's got to be pushed in. So I have felt that my end. But as you know, and I'm sure the viewers will may or may not know, is the end of June is not the end of stamp duty. So I mean, it's worth definitely talking about that a little bit.
Explain it.
Whereas a lot of people think that the end of June, that's where the end of stamp duty is, and all of a sudden it's going back to normal. Well, actually, in fact, what a lot of people don't know is it goes to the end of September. Anything from £250,000 or under is still no stamp duty until the end of September. And I know a lot of the properties that you have, and I would say a quite large portion of your clients are in that bracket.
They're buying below 250. And
so under that 250 mark, you still don't pay any stamp duty till September. So there's still time to get in, buy houses now, and still take advantage of that. And obviously, first-time buyers, they don't pay stamp duty at all anyway at the moment. I think it's 500,000. So there's still scope to get in and take advantage of that. It's not definite cut-off, end of. So it's definitely worth everybody noting that, really.
Definitely. So so when we spoke last time, we were talking about like where people find us and how our new clients come to us. Anything with this new crazy market? Anything change with that? How are you getting your new clients now?
I was going to ask you the same question actually, Jim. So we're on the same page. For me, most of my clients, I think probably more so coming on from the website now. Website obviously has grown over the last 6 months. Busyness. Google rankings have gone up because it's just getting busy and busy. So there's a lot apart from what you guys send and we work together with. The majority of the rest comes through the website, and I think it's because people are unaware of what's going on and how to, before, let's say, if we go back, we say before all of this sort of shenanigans in the last 6 months, people would go, "I'll just go to my bank and get a mortgage."
Yeah.
They know now. I think people are aware that there's a lot of banks that won't give you a mortgage now because of situations and criteria changes. So the best option, it genuinely is the best option, is to speak to somebody that's got access to all of them.
Yeah.
And can say, like, this is where you need to go. It could be here, or could be a bank you've never even heard of.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we've seen a lot more come through the website, because they're looking for a broker rather than looking to go to their bank and be declined, which tends to happen a lot at the minute.
Yeah.
So that's for me. So yes, I'll fire it back at you. Where are your clients coming from? I know you've had waves of people coming in, and
my recommendation has always been a big winner for me, which I'm always so grateful for. Shout out to anyone that's recommended me. But the more work you do in this business, because most sellers are buying and most buyers are selling. It's one of those things when you're in a busier market like this, the more things are going on, which means the more people recommend, which means the more people recommend. It's a bit of a snowball. Yeah. And that's so the place of where my leads and clients come from hasn't changed at all. It's just coming more. I mean, last week, in just over a week, I've had 6 recommendations of people that are coming to market. So that's just amazing. And usually I list 1 property a week most times. I did like 6 in one week. All from some form of either recommendation, or they've used me in the past and want to use me again, or some or seen my social media or something like that. That's where they come from. So it
just shows you're doing the right thing though, James, doesn't it?
Wow.
Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't be getting those recommendations. It shows
always
you're doing the right thing.
It's always a massive compliment when people say, "Oh, someone recommended me." So it's massive compliment to the person that recommended me and the person that's now coming to me from the recommendation. It feels so good when someone said, "Oh, I told my mate about you." Brilliant.
Well, I've got a question for you that might throw the cat amongst pigeons. Well, not a cat amongst pigeons, but it might.
Right.
The question I've got is, what sets you apart? We kind of touched on it just now, actually, but from Joe Blogg's estate agents down the road. I know, because I work with you guys, but it'd be nice for everybody else to know what sets you apart.
So, first of all, I'd like to say there's some fantastic agents in Taunton, and they all, have. Not all agents are the same. In fact, very few agents are the same. They all have pluses and minuses throughout. We are very different in that we work on a single point of contact method of selling property. So if you instruct me to sell your house, you will deal with just me from the very start to the very end. A lot of businesses, you'll meet a valuer whose sole responsibility is to value your home and tell you about what their business can do. But then very often you're passed on to a negotiator who will deal with some viewings and handling inquiries. Then sometimes there's another negotiator who will do the same. So you have, or a sales progressor that will progress. So there's lots of members of staff that all have a little part of the process. That's not the case for me. I take everything from start to finish. So when I value the home, come out and see the property, provide you with a price, tell you what I'm going to do for you, I am the person that sorts that out. So I arrange the marketing, so we get the video and everything and the photos and everything done. I will carry out the viewings, I will provide the feedback from the viewings. When we receive offers, I will help negotiate the offer and pick the buyer in this market. And when it sells, I will communicate with the solicitors to take it through. So the benefit of that is that we build a relationship, which I think has a part to play with the recommendations I receive, because come the end, we're mates. I'm friends with my clients almost, that we've been talking for 3 months. As you probably have the same. You're talking with those people, you can't help but become friendly with them, get to know them really well. But also, because it's been dealt with by just me, I know everything that's happened with that that particular case.
Yeah.
You haven't got, oh, so and so was on holiday last week, they were meant to be dealing with it, now I've picked it up, but I just need to speak to so and so because they did the viewing, and it, that is not divided up by lots of people. I just deal with all of it.
And also, I know that you tend to set up a WhatsApp with your clients as well, so they've got kind of instant access to you
all the time,
almost whenever they want to as well, which I know is just not heard of, is it?
I will publicly say I am accessible almost all the time. 90% of the time, you can get hold of me as long as I'm not asleep. I don't wake up for texts and calls, but I do sleep at night. Just may I add, I'm not sleeping night throughout the day or anything like that. So you can get hold of me all the time. My WhatsApp, I sit in bed.
Yeah, and to me that's worth a lot in just itself.
Yeah.
Because I know when I was selling my house a few years back, the estate agent that I was using at the time, this is before obviously we come on board with you guys. It's quite a few years ago, but it was. You could never get hold of them. We had the same problems, never get hold of them. No one really knew what was going on with the property. When it wanted a viewing, it was a case we haven't got anyone to go and show anyone in it. So it was like, well, you'll have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And all those things, actually, if you're paying somebody to do a service, you expect.
Yeah.
And I think, from my perspective, in my opinion anyway, you've got it nailed.
Yeah.
With what you guys do.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's absolutely the way forward. It makes almost... I wasn't doing this before. I was working in a more traditional estate agency sense in my past workplace, and when this sort of model was presented to me, it was kind of like, duh, why doesn't everyone do that? Of course that makes sense. Having mobile access to people, there's 1,000 places that you can get hold of people and communicate with people these days. Yeah, most places are just using a telephone, an email, and that's kind of it. But mobile, WhatsApp, all social media accounts and everything. I'm very difficult to not get hold of.
Yeah, it's good. I know some estate agents don't even use computers today. Still got the old.
Yeah.
They're flicking through the.
Yeah. Like applicant.
But yeah.
My last question for you: what's your favourite thing about working in this office?
In this office, I think all of you.
Oh, look at that.
Winner. It is actually. I like everybody's company. Everyone's really nice. Everyone gets on.
Yeah.
And I think what I like about this office, and I hopefully you'll agree, is everybody inspires everybody else.
Yes.
Everybody motivates everybody else.
Yeah.
And although there is obviously an element of who's got the most MAs this month.
Yeah.
It's not to a point where you're putting other people down.
Correct.
It's more like trying to bring them up.
Yes.
Well, I've done this. Come on, let's try and see if you can get it.
Yeah.
And you'll kind of help each other out.
Yes.
And me as well. You help me out, and vice versa. Hopefully. And that for me, that's what I like about this office. Everybody's in it together, although we're working slightly separately.
We've all got a communal goal that we all have individual response. We're like a cricket team. And we're all batsmen within the cricket team, and everyone wants to score the most runs within their team and be the top run scorer. Yeah. I don't know if you know. Like, are you a cricket fan?
I know how cricket works. I know you have to hit a ball and get runs.
Yeah, and I think we're like an individual. I think everyone wants the individual to do well and to be the best performer within the team, but we all want to win, and we all, I think, all inspire each other with different ideas. And I think that's really, really, really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you, mate. Thank you for joining me again today. I think we probably should do this more often. We said that on the last one. We'll definitely do another one this year. We'll do an end of year one.
Yeah, definitely.
But maybe get one in between as well. Just see how things go and if it does die down and change, because the market is on a monthly change at the moment, isn't it? So, so thanks again, and
thank you.
Yeah, and until next time.